COVID-19 has changed the world. But despite the challenges we face, the spirit of Africanacity is still alive. It's in the tenacity of the men and women who are still keeping us safe and keeping us going. It's in the creativity you use to find new ways to work, teach, do it all, and stay together, even if you're apart. And it's in the ingenuity of all those who are making a difference. Thank you to everyone still getting things done. Your Africanacity inspires us.
This chilly but exciting Tuesday morning. My name is Alex Muriu, and I'm more than humbled to be here with you this morning. And thank you for making time. It's in the middle of the day, and you've chosen to be with us. I can see we already have 65 attendees already on this particular call. And it's great to have you all here. We're going to have a fantastic 1.5 hours of delving deeper into this topic of innovating for the new normal. And before we go any further, I would like to allow our Chief Finance Officer, Mr. Yusuf Omari, to just give his welcome remarks, and then we're going to take it from there. Yusuf, karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Alex. Sound. We can't hear. The COVID environment that we are facing at this point in time. Let me start by acknowledging our team of eminent panelists led by Professor Bitange Ndemo. We have Roble Musse as well as Lorna Ruto, who is one of our customers. Thank you so much for availing yourself for this important session that we share with our customers. We are also honored to have, of course, you, our participants, so virtually, and it's a sincere hope that you're keeping safe, and of course, observing all the preventative guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health. Our distinguished guests, COVID-19 has been one of the most challenging times of businesses, of our government, of the societies around the world. No one had prepared for this, and even at this point in time, there are still new developments that are happening, and it's a big challenge for you as our customers, especially in the commercial sector, looking at our businesses. But even as we grapple with the disruptive impact of this pandemic in our economy, our health and education system, we are beginning to see some positives. And the positives here is how everyone is responding to this crisis. The crisis has challenged us to show our humanity in the way we respond and to demonstrate our agility by adapting our ways of working. This has spurred greater innovation and increased digital adoption, proving that we can continue to serve our customers through digital channels. Today's session is therefore really timely, and innovation, the way we say you either innovate or you perish, has never been made more important and makes sense like it does at this point in time. In fact, researchers will tell you that a response to the pandemic has fast-forwarded digital adoption and the need for innovation by 5 years. Coming back home, specifically, we've looked at Absa. Our transition this year was therefore not just a change of name, but a chance to reflect our organization and our culture and institute changes that will make us fit to thrive in the future. By taking the time to listen to our customers, we have redefined most of our existing propositions and processes and developed new products to drive mutual growth. For instance, we have reduced the number of our customer transaction forms from 179 to about 43 forms, thereby simplifying the banking process and enhance our customer experience. Indeed, we've seen our customers adopting the different channels by way how they communicate to us. And we've seen a significant portion of our customer transactions moving from our branches to all the digital channels that we have provided. Indeed, talking about innovation and how the customers are also able to embrace the same. In the last few months, we have also introduced the first in the market Absa vertical debit and credit card, as well as revamped our SME recession insurance proposition to enable us to play a bigger role in the SME sector. This proposition offers unsecured loans of up to 10 million shillings, which is the highest in the market, as well as LPO financing of up to 50 million shillings. We also introduced our new Absa One account, an all-in-one account with no minimum balance requirement and no monthly fees. The Absa One account offers unsecured loans of up to 6 million shillings for individuals and 10 million shillings for the businesses. It also offers rewards of 0.5% cashback on all our ATM and debit card transactions as well. The Absa One account also comes with a multi-currency prepaid card with up to 8 major currencies that gives you access to Absa Connect lifestyle events, among others. Internally, we are also transforming our ways of working to be able to adapt to the disruptive nature of today's business environment. One of the ways we are doing this is through empowering our employees with future skills like design thinking and data science. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we will say that we will continue to invest significantly on digitization and automation of our processes and systems to drive efficiency and make banking much easier, faster, and better for our customers, especially when we look at this COVID environment. Let me return you back to Alex, our Digital and Innovations Manager, and who is our moderator today to make sure that we take the process forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Yusuf. That was a fantastic introduction to today's topic. And I want to also just take a moment to thank you and our CEO, Jeremy Awori, for just the leadership that you're giving us through this particular period. It's been about 4 months now, I would say, approximately, since the first case of COVID was discovered in our country. And life has changed, but even more relevant to today's topic, business is no longer the same. And just to cite one or two things that I'm sure our panelists are going to be alluding to and talking to how to manage the same. Think about workforce, for instance, and management of the workforce. Almost 50% of people now work remotely from home because of social distancing rules and things like that. Think about businesses that traditionally relied on walk-in clients or door-to-door sales. As a bank, for instance, at Absa, we definitely have felt that because we have a huge branch and agency network that relied primarily on walk-ins, and that has had to be radically rethought. Think about your customers who now have to be a lot more conscious about their finances and where they're spending their money. Right now, if it's not an essential, I'm not going to invest in it. Think about tech companies that previously were unknown, and today, because life has become digital, then they're prospering. But then you still have tech companies that you would have thought that they were as resilient as possible. I'm sure you have heard about what's happening with Airbnb or Uber, and you're letting go of almost a quarter of their employees and things like that. So it almost feels like no one has been spared the effects of this period. And I could continue on and on. Look at what is happening to our education system. There's a whole ecosystem there that has been disrupted by everything that has been going on and the policies that have been put in place as a result of that. Transport industry, the entertainment industry that was mainly driven by nighttime type of events and patrons to places of entertainment and things like that. I mean, life and business as we know it has changed. The question then becomes, what do you do? Do you allow this disruption to kill your business, or do you emerge out of it and thrive and innovate and make yourself relevant in this new world? Because whether you like it or not, life and business as you knew it is not going to be the same again. And we have a fantastic panel today that is going to help us to just try and address these topics. And I'm hoping out of this, both you and I are going to get some learnings that will help us change how we are staying innovative during this new world. But just a couple of house rules, please, just to make sure that we are all on the same page. One, you will notice that you will remain muted throughout the session. This is just to make sure that we have, we can all hear each other, we can hear the panelists. So don't worry about that. There's an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you might have. And if you look at your GoToWebinar platform, you will see that there's a chat section and a questions section. We invite you to please post your comments and questions as the panelists are speaking. We will also have a Q&A at the end, and I will be guiding us in how we're going to manage that particular session. Also, just to put your mind at ease, we are recording this particular session, and a recording of the same will be posted on Absa social media channels. I also want to thank the Gracia Machel Trust for just co-facilitating and co-hosting this particular webinar series that we've been doing for the last few weeks. It has been a great experience. Those of you who've been joining us every 2 weeks, I'm hoping that you're finding them as useful as we would like to. But enough of that. I want to go straight into introducing our moderators for the day. It's very humbling to meet some of these people once again. I've met some of them in past forums, starting off with Professor Bitange Ndemo. Prof, how are you doing, sir?
I think I'm doing well.
You think you're doing well? Okay,
Yes.
I think I'm doing good too. Thank you. It's an honor to have you with us today, Prof. And I don't want to say who you are because most people know who you are, but maybe just a one-line introduction of yourself so that those who may not be familiar with you may just get to know you.
I'm a professor at the University of Nairobi's School of Business, and someone who is interested in tech in this country.
Fantastic, fantastic, and karibu sana. I'm also excited to be hosting Roble Musse, who is a serial entrepreneur and just a man who has some very interesting thoughts and also an author, and he'll be telling us a little bit more about his book. Roble, please just give us a quick introduction of yourself.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Alex. So my name is Roble Musse. I'm speaking to you from Seattle. So I'm very happy to talk to you guys today. I'm the CEO of Transanalytics and also author of the book Silicon Valley. And I'll be looking forward to sharing a lot of my ideas on how we can succeed in this current challenging environment. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome, welcome. Oh, it must be quite late at night where you are right now. So you please don't doze off in the middle of the of the presentation, but I'm sure you're going to be with us. Also, last but not least, very excited to have Lorna Ruto with us. Lorna is the founder and CEO of Ecopost. Lorna, hi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lorna Ruto. Yes, I'm truly honored and excited to be with you here today. And let me take this opportunity to thank the Absa Kenya and the Gracia Machel Foundation Trust for enabling this webinar to be possible. I am a multi-passionate social entrepreneur with a vision to have a green Africa free from poverty. And I'm also privileged to be a customer of Absa Kenya, which has given a lot of support, not only to Ecopost, but I believe to thousands of entrepreneurs out there. Yeah, thank you so much.
Great, thank you. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about what you've been doing and what you've been doing for the last 10 years. 10 years, that's just amazing to me that you've been at this for 10 years. Great. So we will be running 2 polls today over the course of this this webinar. The first one will be shortly, and then there will be one towards the end. And this is just to help us be able to just get a sense of where you are right now as a business owner, as far as innovating for the new normal is concerned. So I just want to confirm that the poll has been put up. Great, so now you should be seeing the poll on your screen. Kindly just go ahead and I'll just read it out for you. So it says, in what way has your business been impacted by COVID-19? Just to give even our panelists a sense of the areas they should really be tackling on this webinar today. The first option there is you've had to change your business model to maintain or grow revenues. Maybe because the way you used to do business before is no longer working and generating the revenues you want. Second option is you have had to develop new products to cater to a new client base. Another interesting situation that seems to be facing a lot of our businesses now. Third option is you've had to increase capacity to meet increased demand. Like I said earlier, some businesses actually thriving and COVID-19 has come as a blessing in disguise for them. Maybe you're one of those businesses. It would be good to hear more about that. The fourth option is business has become redundant. Now, and this is, again, another reality of the world that we're living in today. Maybe you've just realized, God, nobody is coming into the shops anymore, nobody is buying anymore, and you need to completely rethink your business. And that's a topic that I'm sure Roble and the professor will be interested in tackling as we go along. So please go ahead and do that. The last option as well is that, you know, COVID has not affected your business at all. You're fine. What is COVID? What is everybody talking about? And if you're that business owner, please go ahead and also take the poll. So I'll give you about a minute to do that, and then we can proceed. Thank you very much. All right, the responses are coming in. Thank you so much, everybody. Quite interesting to see. Majority of us have had to change our business models to maintain or grow revenues, and that's definitely as expected, as it has been so far. I can see some of you have had to develop new products to cater to a new client base. And please feel free to post on the chat what that has looked like for you as we go. Let me see. So far, 17% of you are saying, 18% now, that business has become redundant as a result of COVID-19, and you need to do a complete overhaul. Again, please feel free to tell us a little bit more about that in the chat. Great. This really gives us a good starting point for the conversations that we're about to have today. And I want to just jump straight to our first panelist. Roble, you and I have had a couple of conversations before as we were preparing for this, and I cannot wait for the audience to hear more about what you're saying and what you have to say about this. I'm sure you've also found the poll interesting to hear more about what you have to say about that. But I just want to go straight to you, sir, and I believe you have a presentation. If you could just please just project it so that we can all be able to see it.
All right. I think yep, there we go.
All right.
Let me know when you guys are ready. Can you guys?
Great. I can see it. So please take it away, sir.
All right. Hi, everybody. Again, this is Roble. I'm going to try and move very fast because I want to give the other panelists an opportunity to speak to you and also give you enough time to ask some questions later. So the three main areas I'll be covering today is basics on pivots, and then we're going to do a case study of a company called Blockbuster and how it failed to adjust to market changes, and which ultimately resulted in its failure. And then an example of businesses adapting to the current environment. I'll be asking 2 questions. If you know the answer, you can just put your response on the messaging, and the administrators will be tracking it. And then at the end of my presentation, I'll give the answer. The people who get the question right first will get a free book. And if people don't get any of the questions right, I think the administrators will just pick somebody randomly. So moving on. So what does pivot mean in terms of business? So according to the lean startup methodology, a pivot is essentially a shift in business strategy to test a new approach regarding a company's business model or product after receiving direct or indirect feedback. This is usually in reference to normal business activity, but we are obviously in extraordinary times, and we are getting feedback from the market in various channels. So how is the COVID-19 pandemic impacting businesses? I'm sure all of you have an idea, and you've stated that in your polling response. There's obviously changes in consumer behavior, which could impact your product or how you deliver it. Changes in laws could require you to adjust your business model. We've seen there are curfews in Kenya. In other places like where I live, there are certain businesses that are entirely shut down. So and restaurants and places like that are completely shut down. So those businesses have to adapt. And your product might or service might become obsolete. So the first question I have for you is, in my book, I write about a tech company that started off as a status update service, but after realizing their customers were using their service for something else, they quickly pivoted to adapt to this new need, allowing them to reach great success. Name the company. And I'll give you a tip. Nearly all of you use it, and you probably have it on your phone. So if somebody does a guessing game, you'll get it right. Moving on, you can just type your answer in the messaging, and the administrator will track that. A pivot's expensive. The reality is pivots are not free, and it could take time and cost money. But there are ways that you can reduce this. You can make incremental changes. And so if you figure out you need to make a significant diversion from your current business model, you don't need to make the entire change immediately. You can make it incrementally and continue to benefit from the economic benefits of those changes as you gradually pivot. It is also important to improve your customer feedback loop, so you're constantly getting feedback from your customer in the market that you are on the right track. And also another way is to find strategic partners. So for example, if you need to do and start offering your service through the e-commerce platform, there might not be a need for you to actually build an e-commerce platform. You could find a strategic partner that already has that infrastructure that allows you to work with them on that. So we also have to be cognitive of the fact that we're trying to make changes in very difficult times. If you're serving the consumer market or the enterprise or the government, there's lower demand from those markets. There's also a need for businesses to preserve their cash, so you're afraid of investing because you want your money to last you longer and through this pandemic. And also sources of capital are reducing, so you're also really searching for ways to continue to secure funding to keep you going. There's also obviously sometimes a despair and a feeling that we might not succeed, but as entrepreneurs, to be an entrepreneur is to be eternally optimistic, and we have to know that there is with this pandemic, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for a lot of people to succeed, and we have to be optimistic. We have to stick to the fundamentals. We have to preserve cash, adapt to changes in the market, and find ways to excel. So moving on to our case study today, we're going to be looking at Blockbuster. If some of you are not familiar with Blockbuster, It was a video rental company. I grew up in Kenya in the 90s, they used to be stores mostly owned by Indian merchants that rented out. So it's a similar type of business, and it was very big. I think the valuation in 1994 was 8 billion, which is close to around 900 million Kenya shillings at this time. And if you compare it to Safaricom, maybe I think the last time I checked was 1.5 trillion. And if you adjust this for time value, it was as close to the value of Safaricom at that time. What happened in 1997, there was the introduction of the DVD. A DVD provided a better quality video for people to watch, and it was a lighter storage of movies, you know. And the same year, a new company came out called Netflix, which tried to take advantage of this new innovation in the market. And they, instead of having thousands of stores all over the world, like Blockbuster had 2,500 stores across the world, they decided to put an online catalog of movies where people could select the movie, and then it was shipped to them by mail within 3 days. So they didn't have to deal with the infrastructure cost, so they're able to even offer the movies for cheaper. But Blockbuster at that time was not afraid of this new innovation, and they didn't make any changes. In 2000, Netflix was still struggling. It was a new company. They needed a lot of marketing costs, and they didn't have the money. So they decided to offer themselves for sale to Blockbuster for $50 million. And if you can think about $50 million for a company like Blockbuster valued at $8 billion, it was probably equivalent to their stationery cost in a year. But they refused to purchase it. They did not see the value, and they completely ignored it. And it took them another 7 years to actually introduce DVDs. In the meantime, there was also an additional innovation that was coming into the market, which was streaming online, that people now did not even need a DVD. They could just, because of the improvements in broadband and internet access, and streaming was now becoming a reality. And Blockbuster, again, was still not able to adjust to this reality. And in 2010, they ended up practically shutting down, and a lot of the assets were sold for $24 million. And compared to Blockbuster, Netflix currently is valued at $203 billion, and they were really able to adjust to this market shift and really become a technology company. Because if you think about 1997, when they were mailing DVDs, it was not, they did not have as many kind of engineers and whatever to support a technology company. But at this time, they're practically considered a technology company, and they have a huge engineering staff that allows them to offer their services online. And this case study really shows a shift between brick and mortar and online, and the dangers for companies that are not keeping an eye on market signals to adapt and to change the environment. And what can we learn from this? There are a couple of lessons I picked out. There are many lessons, but the three that I picked out is being small can be an advantage, because it was difficult for Netflix and Blockbuster to reduce their overheads because they had all this infrastructure cost. But with Netflix being so small, they were not burdened with legacy systems and businesses, and they were able to adapt to this market. And for you as SMEs, you also can put yourself in this category as being lean and small to adapt to these changes. It is also very important not to be complacent and constantly be monitoring changes within the market and seeing how it impacts you and how somehow you can also take advantage. And the third one is major changes in the marketplace creates opportunity. So not only this was a technological innovation that caused Blockbuster to fail, their business model to fail, but if you look at Kobit, it's going to have a lot of changes in consumer behavior, and there's going to be opportunities for lean and smaller companies to take advantage and actually surpass bigger companies which are struggling to adjust to the changes. So there's always a need here to be optimistic. If we look also in 2008, the financial crisis, there were quite a couple of companies that came out of that, including including Uber, that came out of that period. So my second question is, Blockbuster had one particular policy that their customers felt was exploitative. This policy was partly responsible for hastening their demise after a viable competitor entered the market. What is this policy? So again, you're free to respond online. So I'm running out of time. I'll quickly go through the different options and the way business is adjusting. So for service industries like yoga, fitness, instructions, they are not able at this time to serve their customers through studios and gyms, and so a lot of them have now moved online. The cost for them has been minimal because all you need is a good internet connection, video, and a way to accept payments. And I've also saw in some of the wildlife reserves in Kenya are now also allowing foreigners to buy 20-minute drives where people are tracking that. Producers, farmers, and other producers are selling directly to consumers because they're losing some of their customers like restaurants, and so they're selling directly to consumers. And one of the good partnerships that we've seen in Kenya is between Twiga and Jumia. Twiga didn't have to create their own e-commerce platform. They just partnered with Jumia, which saved them money. And also, there are companies which are being threatened to become extinct. And one of them now people are questioning is Airbnb. So there is going to be that aspect that all of us have to be prepared for. So Alex, take it back to you. I'm done with my, I have one more. The two answers, first answer was WhatsApp, and the second answer is late fee policy. So that were the two answers. Alex, back to you.
Thank you, Roble. I don't know how many submissions we have received to your questions. I will wait for the organizers to tell me that in a short while. And hopefully 2 people get to walk away with your book and Silicon Valley. It's a fantastic book that I have also already started looking through. And I actually want to just pick out a couple of things that I know you have in that book, and it's just as the audience thinks about any questions they might have for you. So you had a company, CoinFling, before, which you had to pivot into the current company, and you really explore the topic of failure quite a bit in your book, and quite interesting for me was the thinking around life after failure. I know earlier I said that one of the differences between Silicon Valley and the rest of the world is that in Silicon Valley, failure is celebrated. People go on platforms and say I failed, and everybody. But you told me that is actually changing now. It's not being as celebrated as it used to be back in the day. And we live in a society here in Kenya, for instance, where when you fail, you go under the table and you make sure nobody talks to you for the next 3 years until you rise back up again. I just wanted you to speak a little bit more to that. You've talked about pivoting. You've talked about being small being a good thing because it allows you to be nimble and everything. What happens to, and when I look even at the poll questions, 18% of our respondents and 65% of the audience actually responded saying that their businesses have been rendered redundant. What happens to these guys? What would you say to these folks?
So thank you for that question, Alex. I would say, failure should definitely not be celebrated, but it should not be looked at as a bad thing. I think really I look at business from a scientific perspective. I think anytime you're coming up with a business idea, you're proposing a hypothesis, and you have to test that hypothesis in different ways. And so for us in the technology world, we have what is called a minimum viable product. So you enter the market with a small test of the product and you grow from there. So it's a process of continuing to iterate as you search and find what is called a product market fit. And so for me, I believe that I think as an entrepreneur, you'll always be an entrepreneur. Everybody who's an entrepreneur knows they cannot imagine doing anything else but business. And the reality is a lot of companies, a lot of successful entrepreneurs failed 3 or 4 times before they found their product market fit. So besides the social stigma of failure, as entrepreneurs, you're always a maverick. You're always looking at things that people are not, and you should not be focused on the social and stigma, and focus on just trying to hone your skills and find that product market fit so you can succeed.
Thank you for that. There's a quote by Jeff Bezos that's a favorite of mine. He says, "Be persistent in your vision, but flexible in your pursuit." And I think that's what you're alluding to, which is stay true to that vision. But just because this one way did not work, rise up, try again, and I'm sure Lorna knows a lot about that, given the journey that she's been on. So thank you so much, Roble, and much appreciated for the time that you've shared with us. And even before I go to Prof, the other thing that for me has been interesting during this period is it feels that no one is immune to failure in the world of COVID. I mean, you look at some of the big names, even in retail, J. Crew and the rest of them, that have had to shut their doors because of what has been going on. So size is not the only thing that can render you redundant. You could be the largest in your space and you still become redundant, and Airbnb being a good example as well. So thank you for that. Prof, I want to jump straight to you, because I know a lot of the topics that Roble has touched are very close to your heart. You have a wealth of knowledge. I even struggle to think of what would we narrow down to. But maybe I would like you to pick up from that point of pivoting and adapting, and just please share some thoughts that you might have around how our audience and the different business owners on the session can start that journey of adapting to be able to thrive in this new world.
Thank you for highlighting this, and thank you, Roble, because you've touched on very key aspects which are happening now as we are discussing this. A few years back, and Alex, you know this, a lot of young people came up with apps trying to help stores like Nakumats, like Uchumi, that you can display your goods so that somebody from their comfort, they can select those goods and they are delivered. They didn't take those young people seriously. Even as we tried to approach them, this is going to be the future, they actually refused. And see what has happened. COVID changed everything. People are buying directly from those who are selling vegetables. The logistics firms have come and confused many of the stores. Now we lost Uchumi, we lost Nakumat, we are losing 2 South African stores, and some which are existing are under threat because of the new nimble businesses that have come and completely changing the business model. When you are too large and you are an innovator and then you are not in the innovative space or not buying the innovators, you are at risk. This is a very old concept, I think Roble can tell you, which was started by Schumpeter. He said that you have to constantly creatively destroy yourself and recreate yourself to survive. And so when Twiga comes and joins up with a logistics firm, they completely undermine very big department stores, and they don't know how to react to that. And it's going to continue to happen because nimble suppliers of food, for example, they are going to go into niche specialization where they will tell you this is organic and this is where we got it from, as we continue to create trust in terms of supply. And that would confuse a lot of enterprises. But the point I want to make is that this was expected because we kept on preaching that we are now into the fourth industrial revolution, and digitalization mega trend is big. People did not even bother to look into dictionaries what digitalization meant. But now it is hurting them. It is when they're asking, what the hell is digitalization? This is a mega trend that would continue to disrupt us for the next several years because it is an area which undermines the current economic development. Everything, even government has digitized. That's how we are able to get the identity or the passports through Huduma numbers. It's become very easy. People love convenience. And if you are not looking at how you can create convenience for your customers, then you are in trouble.
Thank you, Prof. I'm picking up two interesting words that you've just mentioned, which is trust and convenience. But then tying that to also your point around digitization as a mega trend, and that if you ignore that, you're on peril. Is that it? Is that the magic tripartite of how to thrive
Actually,
in this new world?
I was trying to avoid the vocabulary behind it. And the vocabulary behind that is what we call blockchain. If you look at Twiga carefully, they are leveraging blockchain to create such trust and be able to promise the customers precisely what they want. I don't think that word resonates with some of the bigger stores, that you need to know the source of your supplies. Who supplied you with bananas? Where did they come? How are they grown? And all that kinds of information. But smaller companies would be able to provide you such data and even show you which farmer supplied it and even prove the trust. So those are the things that what we call the future technologies, or technologies that would undermine, that would underpin the emerging fourth industrial revolution. That is what is going to happen. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I know when a lot of people hear the word blockchain and they probably just go, okay, so now we're getting too techy and I might as well just give up because I don't know what this blockchain business.
It's very simple to understand.
I had a restaurant, I used to do deliveries or whatever that might be. What does this whole world of data mean for me? Why should I even bother with the word blockchain? It doesn't feel like it should even appear in the restaurant lingo.
Two key words you have said, blockchain and data. Blockchain, in very simple English, is an attempt to automate trust. That you can actually trust the source of this, where it came from, what they are saying about it. And the data is very key because everybody is worried about their health. They want to know exactly what amount of fertilizer was used in growing this sukuma wiki. Because our sources of diseases is coming from this. It is important. Actually, most people don't look at every product as the ingredients and how much of those ingredients. Maybe your doctor said you should not have salt or you should not have sugar. These things are becoming more standard, that people require data in order to understand how they can live a better life. And the data and the blockchain are those technologies that will define this phase that we have gotten into, the phase of development. If you don't have data, if you can't tell me where you grew,
Alex,
It looks like Prof has.
as we get Prof Ndemo, maybe I can just add to what Prof is saying. I think you brought a good point in terms of blockchain. It's confusing to SMEs, and I would look at blockchain mostly as an infrastructure. And for smaller business, it's good for you to understand blockchain, but and cloud companies are actually building that infrastructure, and there'll be apps and services on top of blockchain that SMEs can use. So I see it more as an infrastructure and thing. It's good for you to understand how it impacts your business, but a lot of SMEs won't have to go through the trouble of actually building blockchain because it will be available as a infrastructure as a service type thing. Thanks. Sorry, and you're back, and Prof, it's your turn.
Yeah, I think Prof is back now, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Now, Prof, I was actually going to, because I know blockchain is one of those topics that's a whole other webinar we probably need, and Susan, maybe it's something to think about for the future. But maybe for purposes of today, Prof, I would be asking, what's step one for me as a business owner in trying to understand that world of data and technology? Where should I start today if I was to start this journey today?
You cut, but I sort of understand what is it that you need to do. I think what the question is, what the step one is that make sure that the customer understands, because it's actually what the customer needs. The customer looks at the value proposition of what you're providing, that actually I've got value from this. If you brought potatoes for me and tell me, oh, these are from Nyandarua and such, and then another one comes and says, actually these potatoes, we grew them using manure, and this is what I would go for that because there is data about it. The other one, I suspect that you probably poured very bad fertilizer, which causes cancer, for example, and stuff. So the customers become more savvy than previously when we just looked at the beauty of the potato itself. But the customers now want to know what are they consuming, and that's where data begins. That you must have data to explain the products that you want to supply to the customer.
So it's almost like you start off by enhancing trust as a business principle, because then all the technologies that come in are basically just to help deliver that element of trust even more.
Enhance, right? Yes. To enhance. Actually, what we've been saying is that in order to change the SME sector, is to help them be able to tell you about their product. Yeah, if I'm selling, say, pawpaws or mangoes, I would say these are actually naturally grown, and no fertilizer has ever been used, and this is where they grow, so that I can begin to understand if they're sweet. I can associate that with either the climate or where the source they came from. It makes my decision easier later on because I know that I was given this information and this is the data that I need.
Yeah. And I can see how that becomes quite essential, especially now that sort of like person-to-person relationships are going to shift quite a bit, because with digitization, as you have alluded to, it's now me serving a bunch of strangers who will probably never meet me. And so trust is really the only thing that I'm left with, right?
Trust is big. Trust is very big. You can lie to me today and sell me something, but I would find out and I would never deal with you. And that's what most people need to know, that you get your repeat customers from trust. You can't get repeat customers by lying, because they will never come back to you. And in entrepreneur, I teach entrepreneurship. Much of when a crisis comes like this, you rely most on your repeat customers. And those are very key. If you have a critical mass of that, then you're fine. I see it in my house here, where mama calls another mama in city market, uniweke yangu kando, you know, that guarantees you some business. But if you lied, she will probably go to another person and try to find where there is trust.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I feel like I'm curtailing a lot of amazing conversations we could have with you, Prof, on this topic. But I just want to bring in Lorna into the conversation now, because I think she can help us really land these points that both you and Roble have said in practically in terms of her business and how she's been navigating this space. Lorna, I'm sure you're still with us, and I just want you to share with us a little bit about your story at Ecopost, yeah. And again, like I said, 10 years you've been doing this. Your business is very much, you know, people. You have to work with people. You have to go and deliver things. You have to access raw materials. You have to transport things. All these are spaces that have been affected by COVID-19. Please just share a little bit about how you're navigating this period now that COVID is happening.
Thank you so much once again. Once again, I'm so excited to be in this platform with this panel, share my experience on how I've been at Ecopost and what we do. Basically, Ecopost, we recycle plastic waste and we manufacture very aesthetic profiles for fencing, for building construction, for signage, among others. We've been working with youth and women groups for the last 10 years. And so far, we've been able to withdraw over 5 million kilograms of plastic waste that would have been otherwise thrown out there, littering the streets, clogging the sewage, and even encroaching into our homes. And that has enabled us to provide suitable alternative to timber. So we've been able to save over 450 acres of forest as we're speaking today. And this has enabled us to create over 2,000 direct and indirect jobs. This is especially to youth and women in the marginalized areas. I'm so glad and privileged to be an Absa client who has also participated very actively in the transition of the Absa from Barclays. And we got an opportunity even to receive waste, a lot of the waste, especially the plastic waste and the metal waste that came from that transition. And every day, when you have something, you utilize it. How did we use it? We used the Barclays plastic to make a very strong Gaza bridge. I don't know if you've heard about it, the one in Kwale, that is a project for women that is helping to conserve the mangrove forests. The metal waste, we used it to fabricate our plastic recycling machines. And our new latest invention, which I'm very excited about, from the waste, the 100% recycled plastic waste, together with some of the metal from the Barclays waste, we manufactured and refurbished hands-free foot pedal sanitizers to tackle the COVID challenge. So I would, whenever you see an opportunity, like waste is not waste until it is wasted, you take it and you make it into something. For the first time, the world in many years, the world has been threatened by this pandemic, and it's affecting everyone, all citizens of all countries. It does not discriminate the rich or the poor, the young or the old. This pandemic has actually exposed a lot of weaknesses and vulnerabilities in our systems and in our normal ways of life. And we require innovations to be able to solve these, innovative solutions. And at this time and point, the innovative solutions have no blueprint. I'm telling you, you can go and search all over the internet, and there is no scientific research that has been done to find out this kind of projects that are required right now. If you're an entrepreneur outside there, just if you have an idea, start, do something, be innovative, and that's how you're going to thrive in this new normal. This pandemic is here to stay, and if you reinvent and work with what you have, and it does not necessarily mean that this has to be a challenge. Entrepreneurs have always thrived where there are problems. Coronavirus can be the opportunity for you to do business and do business very well. So what are you doing about it? I believe innovation is the key to solving all the most pressing societal challenges. And for example, at Ecopost, how have we responded? We have seen this plastic waste, we have seen this challenge, the coronavirus pandemic, and we are manufacturing food pedal sanitizers. These are zero touch, zero contamination hands-free food pedal sanitizers that will protect you and your family. So they're very effective. They can be used at supermarkets, they can be used at schools, homes, public places like the bus stations, and all other places. So I encourage entrepreneurs, even in different industries. Is it a food industry? Do not despair that maybe you're in the entertainment business and you're not operating because of the lockdown at night. Entrepreneurs have thrived in problems. So this could be the chance for you to reinvent yourself. Go out there and see what else can you do. Is it in agribusiness? How are you looking at the challenge? We should look at our problems, the glass half full. Like if this is the challenge that we have right now, and entrepreneurs are the ones who are going to remove us out of this crisis. Post-COVID, private sectors will be the ones driving the economy, and you need to be in that position. How have you placed yourself to thrive in the new normal? Yes. So my advice to actually the entrepreneurs out there is, if you have an idea, just start doing something. There's no losing. It's always learning. There are no problems. It's just challenges. And welcome the challenges, my friends. You see, even if that challenge comes in what dimensions. For example, Ecopost lost its forest, its factory last year to a fire. I started this corona problem a long time ago, but when I fell back with my back, so that when you fall, you make sure you fall on your back so that you can rise back up. Sometimes God closes a door so that it can provide a window with a better view, my friends. So just go out there, start something. There's no losing. It's always a learning opportunity. And now we are there, we are striving and we are providing, and we are going to continue reinventing. Reinvent yourself such that you can be able to add value. What is important is the why. Why are you doing it? When you strive to create solutions that impacts life, life becomes even better for you. And I encourage people to think impact and think Ecopost when you think impact too. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Very, very inspiring, Lorna. And it's just, some of the points jumping out at me. In fact, there's a statement you've made, which I know Prof is also a big fan of. And he says that enterprises are built on problems. And so what somebody else considers a problem for you should be a business opportunity. And what you're also alluding to, that, this period is challenging for everyone. And the opportunity for me as a business person is to then say, okay, so what are those challenges and what can I do? And I love that example of what you've given about what you're doing with sanitizers, because that's you using a skill set and capability that is already there at Ecopost, because we know you for making posts, but now you're making sanitizers that are very relevant to the times. And so are very practical examples there of what's happening. Time is really cruising. I cannot believe how quickly time is going. And I want to just make sure we have time to just address one or two questions that have come through. And if you've got a question, like I said earlier at the beginning, there's the question section of the GoToWebinar platform. Please post it there. Prof, I want to start with you, because there's someone here who seems to be struggling a little bit with what you've shared around digitization, and that's Yolanda. And she says the events industry has been slow to pivot to virtual in Kenya. Events contracts came to a complete halt, especially with government agencies who are waiting for direction. We have done research on virtual events since March, and it will not be before August that we will be back to work. What is this resistance to virtual? And I'm just curious what more you have to say to people in a space like events, where digitization, I don't know, it doesn't feel so straightforward that digitization is the answer.
Well, I think Lorna has responded to some of this. That look at the problem and get what you need to do. It doesn't mean that events stop, but you need to find the pain point where you can revive the enterprises who organizes like these webinars, for example, and be able to be the source where you go. You could even suggest to some organizations, let me organize an event like this for you. It is important that your message goes out there. I would organize this. All you need to is subscribe to one of these platforms and organize the speakers. This is what people don't do. There are several organizations which actually haven't communicated to the customers. And you could have a conference like that. And soon, everybody would come to you. I'm just saying, for example, then there's a huge opportunity in education. And I bring it because Roble knows what is happening, that education is moving from what it was, the industrial period where you put standard 1, 2, 3, 4, to a more customized per child, you know, and organize at estates and educate and get some people to teach in the distance where they have social distances themselves. We have so many teachers, even those who don't have employment. We would change the whole narrative. Ask yourself, what if this thing goes for another 2 years? We wait until we put them in class, or we innovate and say, no problem, those who are going to do KCPE in December, we have groups of teachers. That is the work of an organizer who gets the teachers who are idle to get extra income, who gets the parents, and the ministry says, okay, the exam is going to go on. Of course, people would argue that those who don't have resources in the village will not do that. That is where the money is. You actually go there, organize the kids who are just playing soccer at home there, and you get the teachers who are, there is a teacher in every village who is idle now. There is a student in every village who can't get a teacher to teach. What needs is a third person to come and say, we can organize this and provide education to the young people. That's a mega opportunity that is lying idle. If not that, then mobilize and get smartphones donated. I know Alex has 3 or 4 older smartphones because he has switched to the latest of these ones. Donate those 3 that you have. We go to the village and we educate people, because a lot of content online today, you can actually study from online by being mobilized by event organizers. But that is not the only thing they should do, or focus or cry that this is dead. I saw another lady who used to be in event. Now she cooks at home and have the food delivered to people who can't cook, you know. Apparently there are so many. That is how several American restaurants are succeeding here. Domino's, Pizza Hut, they don't care if you close for 5 years, because their model is delivered to people's home. There are people who can't cook. So you get into that and just organize and get a cook who has been laid off from a hotel, and they say, and advertise and say, a chef from a 5-star hotel will prepare the food for you, will deliver it to your home. You don't have to deliver, because we have logistics firms, we have Sandys, we have all kinds of delivery bearers and stuff. That is the work of an event organizer. You have organized something which will probably give you more sustainable income than probably what you are doing in large weddings and other stuff from government. We freeze.
Yep, you're right, Prof. They've had a small freeze.
Yes, I hope they got everything what I said. I don't know how far you got it.
No, and it's only from the Absa side. I think the viewers are able to see it. So it's just the one which is limited.
We need
Um,
an event organizer to organize for us.
yeah, I think maybe we can continue this conversation as they come. I thought what you said was very interesting, and I think that's where the proof is in the pudding, is the ability for that person to think outside the box on how they're going to reinvent themselves. And I think one of the good examples is right here with this webinar. Absa is doing a great job of continuing to build a relationship with its clients through these webinars and providing a value. And so, and there might be smaller businesses that don't have the facilities to run these types of webinars, you know, and this might be an opportunity for that person to create these type of APSA type events where they're building connection with customers for a small fee.
Alex,
Right.
next
I'm
time,
good. I'm back now.
next time, give it to an event organizer to do it.
All right. Okay. Maybe I'll reach out. I'll reach out to the lady who asked the question for help with that. But thank you guys. Actually, I was gonna build up on that and say that last year, and a big shout out to Susan Situma, who's been running with these events. We actually were running physical events of this kind across the country. Attendance would be probably about 100 people or so. This year, after COVID happened, the decision was made to continue, but now do it virtually. Now we're averaging between 200 to 300 participants for every session at a fraction of the cost. And I think that's a practical, just example of how you can definitely adapt for the new normal. So thank you guys for sharing that. Roble, I was going to bring a debate point to you here. Airbnb has lovers and haters, and you know, I've been in different innovation conversations where some people are saying Airbnb is dead, right? And you know, everything they've been doing is not doesn't make sense in the new normal anymore. There's another school, and I can see a point here which I'm going to read for you, says, I do not think Airbnb is going away simply because it operates from a micro scale and is highly flexible. In fact, it is the big guys who must change their ways. Airbnb offers personalized service, which is missing in the others. I just want to hear, what are your thoughts around Airbnb, and just from the perspective of adapting to what's happening to them? I know they're facing a lot of challenges right now.
Yeah, one thing I would say is in this world, I don't. There are no certainties in life, and I put that statement on my presentation not as a fact, as just a discussion that is happening in the marketplace. Yeah, Airbnb has an opportunity to adapt, and it will probably come out, and it's not going to be the same Airbnb. It's not going to be the same Airbnb that it was before. And I think a large number of their services was in-house. So I think in Kenya, a lot of, I don't know what the ratio is, because when I come to Kenya, I also rent Airbnb, but a lot of times I rent complete apartments. But a lot in the US and in other places, with people renting rooms. So when is that fear gonna subside? And it's not gonna. I'm not expecting it to die. It has a lot of cash, but it's not gonna be the same business. And the question is, you know, how will it look afterwards? And that's a $64,000 question. And I'm not willing to state a position either way. You know, I'm not gonna bet against Airbnb.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Yes, Prof.
It's going nowhere because even in the US, there are several people who rent multiple apartments for Airbnb, meaning temporal, where you want 1 week, 2 days, 3, 4 days. And even in Westlands, most of the restaurants now are under Airbnb, meaning that I don't need to go to somebody's home. I mean, if I had money and bought 5 apartments, furnished them well, and Alex wants 2, 3, 1 week, I will still give it to you. And there are still people traveling from other parts of the world. As long as the tourism is back, Airbnb is not going to die.
Thank you for that. There's a point I'm hanging on to, which is the point around cash and cash reserves that Roble alluded to. And of course, with everything that's going on right now, cash is king more than it has ever been before, because that's where you even have the ability to sort of sift through. And I've spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs who've had to really rethink their cash management strategies to be able to survive, sort of the low revenue period that they're going through. And Lorna, I wanna just hear a little bit of your thoughts around this. And as you answer that, there's a question that came through from Elizabeth Maloba. And she says, in an environment where cash conservation is critical, how can businesses invest in innovative technologies and new strategies and models when they're not sure of the returns? And I really resonate with that fear. It's I'm not going to risk my cash in experiments. I need this cash to pay my people, to keep the lights on and all that. What thoughts do you have on that?
What I would encourage entrepreneurs out there, if you have an idea, just start it. Somehow cash normally follows when you've already started something, when there's something to show for it. I remember when I was starting out, we did not even have enough capital to do anything, even to just even pay very little rent. It was only 10,000 shillings for the space that we required. And I knew for me to be able to do that capital intensive business, I required a machine worth several million and all that. I used to write on a blank check, the amount of money that I needed for the business, and I would stick it on my bed where I slept, so that when I woke up every morning, I could see the $10 million that I required to start the business. And believing it and working towards it and going every day with that determination and passion, and putting all your struggles and energy and sacrifice into that business, I am assuring you the cash will start running after you. So just start. Do not be scared to lose. Whenever you're afraid or you fear, that's when you will never be able to achieve anything. Just start with what you have, even if it's very little, and then it will just start paying itself. So just go out there and start. There's no losing, it's always learning. So even if you lose all that cash, you can start again. Remember, it's not going. It was a good learning opportunity. Just look at the glass half full and be positive, and you'll never have a cash problem, I believe.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I would recommend as well, Elizabeth, to read a book called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. I feel like it's very relevant to your question, because not every new trial and experiment in your business has to cost you money. What the Lean Startup does is it basically champions the use of innovative ways to try out new things without having to take your much needed cash flows to put out to the market. And customers are always ready to talk to you, I'm sure. Roble talked earlier about customer feedback loop in his presentation. And it's a question of picking up the phone or sending out a survey, or doing what we call even paper prototypes. And I'm sure Prof has a lot he can say about that. Any other thoughts from the panel just around this question of cash and finance? I feel like it's one we need to scratch a little bit further.
Yeah, one caveat. Don't do what you see other people are doing. Find something that the people. I mean, if you find someone selling bananas and you sell bananas, you are going to kill yourself. So try to find the need, and that's what we call the value proposition that you are giving. If the value proposition is compelling, it doesn't matter. You would get the money.
And I would also just, I feel maybe there's one area of cash preservation that I think was being overlooked here in terms of cost. So a lot of businesses, we're talking about existing businesses, their overheads are not aligned with the demand that they're having. Some of them have to preserve cash by lowering their overheads. So that's also another way that businesses can preserve cash, is lower overheads to align with the current market demand.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. There's I don't think there's ever a conversation about entrepreneurship and business where this question doesn't come up, and so I want us to just tackle it. And I'll just read the point first and then pose the question to the panel. As consumer, and this is from Duncan James, as consumer changes and market dynamics unfold pretty fast, the state, and I believe by the state he means the government, seems left quite far behind. The state is needed to play its core function and roll out policies to enable these changes so that innovation can thrive. A review of all economic sectors is necessary by state policy makers. Prof, in one of your articles in the Business Daily, which is a fantastic series that you post every week, I encourage everyone to really give it a read. And in one of them, you spoke quite a bit and spoke highly of what Telkom and the government and Google have been doing with Project Loon, with enabling access in remote areas. I can already picture the effects of that, for instance, in the education sector with the discussions we've been having. But I don't know what else you'd like to add in reference to business and the new normal, where you feel this topic of state and government and laws needs to be thought about.
Yeah, the fact is, I normally see people complain so much. Oh, what about those who can't access this? In this country, 95% of the population has access to broadband. So what people need to ask the government is actually to subsidize broadband, and the rest would happen. But everybody keeps on saying, oh, because there are those who don't have a computer or don't have whatever, and we could mobilize and actually provide every child with either a smartphone, a tablet, or any gadget that puts them online. And eventually that is what we are going to do if this thing doesn't end by the end of the year. We would begin now to think completely differently next year because of fear that we may have another lost year. But the trouble with us is that we complain fast. We don't provide solutions. Yeah, most of us went to rural schools, and if we said you mobilize for this school where you went and get, this is the number of people who have this. We can do it. I mean, it has been done before in some other aspects, but in this time, I urge people that we come together, make sure that every child has some gadgets to put them online, and seek from government that we subsidize broadband and everybody gets education.
Yeah, thank you for that. Roble, you have some experience in this space. I know your first company, you had to pivot it because of some aspects of regulation. What more would you like to add to this conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, initially when I read that question, I thought somebody was asking for regulations. And as business, you rather not have regulation. You rather be ahead of the government in terms of them regulating your business. So a lot of innovators are always ahead of the regulators, and that's just the way it is. But I kind of understand in terms of resource allocation, and it's a very critical and important question, is where would the government be investing in moving forward, knowing that they could be in this type of situation? Do we need those super highways anymore? Or do we need to reinvest it in as Prof said, the virtual and capacity, broadband and internet access, and those type of things? I know there's a lot of movements in the US that people are taking back roads and allowing for more bicycle lanes and things like that. So there is, as we're talking about innovation within business, there's going to be innovation within government spending and where they should prioritize to adapt to this new moment.
Awesome, thank you so much. Wow, it's already 12:20, time really flying. I wish we had more time. I just want to quickly now come to just final words from each of the three panelists before we can do the last poll of the day. Great conversations, a lot of things, and I love some of the comments. And I just want to read one here by David Mbuvi, who says, I love the way the panelists have left me thinking how much has wasted away. True to it, it's not wasted until it's wasted. And I think Lorna is the one who spoke to that. I will be back soon with my success story. David, go. I mean, I hope that is the feeling that is there with everybody. So Lorna, let me start with you. What are the final words you'd have to say to our audience around innovating for the new normal?
Thank you, audience, and thank you again for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and also talk about our new norm post COVID. And thank you, David. That was very encouraging. Waiting for your success story. And I believe I will tackle the last question on what we need possibly. I encourage and I call onto the government and the policymakers, the NGOs, whoever is out there, just know that entrepreneurs are the people who are going to solve this crisis and any other crisis. So please come out and support. They're going to be the engine for growth post-COVID and even now. So as we look ahead to the new norm, please, the government, please provide these subsidies. We need them, tax subsidies, provide enabling environment for even entrepreneurs, even procurement opportunities. I just see these opportunities out there, but they're given to able-bodied people. Instead of helping us to implement, entrepreneurs, we need your help. We need to be helped to run even our businesses and create solution and impact in the country. Like even the cost of producing, let's encourage investors to come and invest. Don't make the electricity costs and other costs too much until the entrepreneurs give up. We can all work together and enable green entrepreneurs and even any other entrepreneurs to come out and create the kind of impact that we need so that we can move from margins to scale. And I believe that all of us should strive, do not give up, just go out there. And I'm waiting for success stories. And I'm taking this opportunity to thank Absa Kenya. I've been very privileged to be a client of Absa, and you have been wow, and keep continuing helping entrepreneurs like me and the thousands of others who've been benefiting from the support. After all, you've been the bank that is enabling us to do things. Keep it up. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Lorna. Those are very inspiring words as always. Roble, any final words?
Yeah, thank you, Alex, for hosting this, doing a great job hosting. I want to obviously thank the sponsors, Absa Bank and the Grasa Michelle Trust. And thank you, audience, for attending. I hope you benefited from it. All I would say is stick to the fundamentals, preserve cash, make sure you make it through this pandemic better, stronger, and keep your eyes and ears open for opportunities. And so continue to learn and continue to be optimistic, and you will succeed, and we'll all succeed and come out of this stronger. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roble. And again, thank you for staying up late into the night so that you can be a part of this particular conversation. And last but definitely not least, Prof, any final words?
My final word is that if government truly wants us to recover very quickly, they must look at SMEs, because SMEs employ almost 90% of this. So the support to SMEs, you actually support almost the entire country. And any money that goes to larger institutions, you look at the tourism sector, it was not necessary to provide money to hotels, but it was necessary to provide resources to SMEs, because we have the most of the country working there, and these are the people who drive the economy. So any stimulus should be focused to SMEs, and SMEs also must realize that digitization is real, and that is what would take us forward. So we need to begin implementation and be able to understand what needs to be digitized in the space that we are operating.
Thank you so much. I couldn't have closed it any better. I want to just put up now the last poll of this session. After everything that we've had, digitization has been a big conversation today, and we just want to hear from you, our audience, just where are you in your journey of digitization today? And the poll question that you have on your screen right now, which is, how do you use internet platforms for your business? Are you just doing basic stuff on social media, posting, and you know, just because everybody is doing it, so you're doing it? Are you using internet platforms to generate business leads? Is it actually a business driver for you? Do you have maybe a bit more advanced? So you have an integrated presence that is on social media, websites, apps. Maybe you're even on marketplaces. Please select that if that's your choice. And the fourth option is you're actually a digital-led business. So pretty much more than 90% of your revenue is actually coming from the internet. If you're that kind of a business, please answer for us. And then the last, also just let us know if maybe the internet is so far as of today is not of any relevance to your business, it's not helping your business in any way. Please just answer the quick poll, and then we're going to close. So I'll give you about 30 seconds as we wind. Oh, and we informed that we have the names of the people who are going to be walking away with Roble's book and Silicon Valley. So excited to announce that immediately after we close the poll. And in the interest of time, I will say that in the next 20 seconds, let's just close the poll so that we can then do the closing remarks from Susan. Interesting to see. Thank you very much. So it's very encouraging to see that 28% of you are saying that they have an integrated presence on their different digital platforms. 28% also saying that they're using the internet as a lead generation platform. That's a total of about 56. So more than 50% of you already in that place. And when you add 19% who are saying their business is digital led, then we're now at 70%. So quite interesting and encouraging, Prof. I'm sure this is also encouraging for you that 70% of our audience already considers digitization a big part of what they do with their business. I just want to say thank you so much for having been a fantastic audience. This has been an honor hosting this amazing panel. I want to just quickly move to Susan now. Susan Situma is our head of SME and someone I quite enjoy working with. Susan, if you could just give your closing remarks, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you can all hear me. I know we had some sound issues earlier, but I can assure you we have a full team here that is making sure that we can be able to deliver this to you. So really exciting to have you today. Thank you, Professor Bitange Ndemo and Roble Musse, as well as Lorna, for a great session, quite thought-provoking, and also an eye-opener on opportunities that are available right there. Some great insights you shared about blockchain and data. Definitely, Alex, I think a session for us to think about in terms of what next in exposing this whole area to our SMEs. Thank you so much. Lorna, some really great inspirations there. I really enjoyed what you said about when God closes a door, God closes the door so that he can provide a window with a better view. Wow, loved that. And when you fall back, remember to fall on your back so that you're able to rise again. So some really great insights there. And thank you for sharing with us. I've personally seen SMEs in my line of business just start new businesses during this period. Really exciting. Customers coming to us and telling me, you know what, I don't think this works for me anymore. However, I want to use my trucks to do this, which is something else. So it's quite an exciting time. I've seen businesses that are now beginning to export goods for the first time, something they've never done. And therefore, I really encourage you to use this time to think about how do you reposition your business. And I've had phrases out there like, don't waste a good crisis. Don't let it go to waste. don't waste a good pandemic. I think they really come true if you're a business owner to see how do you make the turn for your business. And thank you, our able panelists, for being able to bring these points home for us today. Roble, thank you. I realize that it's probably the wee hours of the morning, maybe 3, 4 a.m. probably on your side. So still looking great and energetic. Thank you for taking the time out to be with us as well. We have two winners for the questions that you asked. So we have one that will go to, let me just get the name right, Ted Opio, and Elizabeth Maloba. I note Elizabeth is also our moderator for the mentorship session. So she's been in the audience. Congratulations. Please share your contacts so that we can be able to send this out to you as soon as possible. I have a copy of the book. Maybe I can show you. This is how it looks like. So great book to read, especially when you're thinking about and Silicon Valley. That's what the book is called. So great insight. And I think he has some copies available as well for sale. What's next? So we have the mentorship session coming up next. It will be facilitated by Elizabeth Malobe, who has been sitting in our audience, also a great mentor. I thank you, Elizabeth, in advance for agreeing to do this for us. Really appreciate and looking forward to it. The mentorship session will be next week on Tuesday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon. We will share details with all of you that would like to join that session. And we will, during this session, we go deeper into what are the nitty-gritties for your business, for example. And if you want to take them, have the mentor go through one of the ideas that you have, well and good. We are able to listen and add insights. So great session to join, and I do look forward to hosting you again for that session. I think some questions that came there from the audience that maybe I really wanted to touch on. I think there was a question, and maybe some of you missed our opening remarks by our CFO, Yusuf Omari. He did talk about, especially for us banks, how are we innovating during this period? And some of the things he's talked about is how we've had to listen to the voice of our customers and review some of the processes that we had. So he talked about in one of the processes, we've reduced from about 179 to 43, and still looking at how do we reduce this further. About 40% of our staff are working remotely. So we've enabled them to be able to serve our customers remotely, and they're able to meet the needs of the clients during this period. So really doing a lot to be able to adapt. We've put agile sprints as squads to help us manage whatever is coming through, new areas where we need to change. So just in trying to answer the question that was asked by one of the audience, we are really changing to try and see what can we do differently. But some things will not change. We still have cash out there, so we still have cash deposits coming into our banking halls. So I thought I'd just add that in there. So today has been our 6th session. We do look forward to more sessions in the 2 more sessions that are coming up. I would like to encourage you to go to our YouTube pages if you'd like to see the recordings of the other sessions we've had. Quite exciting around business cash flow, business forecasting, work-life balance, just great topics during this time, taking your business online, which somehow we've alluded to during this conversation. So I encourage you to go online and get to hear more about that. Subscribe to our YouTube pages, Facebook page, follow us, so that then we can be able to get the insights as they come through. And then I want to thank Grasa Marshall Trust. I can't thank you enough for the support that you've given us during this sessions that we're running. The Absa Business webinar series has really been successful so far. And we've also partnered with Karomandi Media, who is doing a digital magazine. Every 2 weeks, we have one out. So don't look out for that as well. And you can probably search for that as well, or just go into our Facebook pages and you'll be able to see them. So some great insights and tips that we're giving entrepreneurs during this period again. So the next session is coming to us on the 4th of August, 11 to 12:30. We will be talking about a topic really close to each and every one of us, I believe, during this pandemic. So we'll be talking about wellness, and in there we'll also be talking about mental health. So we've gotten some doctors to be on the panel for us, as well as just experts on wellness that can help us manage. What I've realized during this pandemic is you might not know what you're going through, but you kind of are like reacting in an unfamiliar manner and you don't know why that is. So it's a great session to join us and to just understand, how do you cope? How do you put in those coping mechanisms, especially now that we are hearing more increased cases of COVID and probably a little more deaths, especially for Kenya. So a great session for you to join us. And then we'll follow that session closely in August by another session around building confidence, especially for the women entrepreneurs. So we'll share details as those dates come closer. I'd like to say that if you're not yet our customer, we have a great account, and our CFO alluded to this account as well. One of the products that we've innovated during this period as well, the Absa One Biashara account. If you're already a customer, you can be able to switch your account to this account. So feel free to either write us an email or call your branch manager or relationship manager, and we'll be able to support you do the switch. But if you're not yet our customer, I encourage you to sign up for that account. We'll share details as we send information to you for you to be able to sign up for that account. And then as I close, I really want to pray that you continue to remain safe. You continue to observe the guidelines provided by our government around the protocols for COVID-19. And let's remember that God gives us each new day. So remember to thank him and remember to make a difference for every new day that you have. So thank you and God bless. Remember to participate in our exit service. So thank you.
All right, I believe we are good to go now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Probably I'll send you an email.
Thanks.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Prof.
I'll get it from Alex.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take
Okay.
care. Bye.
Thank you, Prof.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Prof.